Oh, so there's this thing, right? I think it's something that should be useful for people. Is that recently, right? I was a seller's agent.
Mm-hmm.
I sold the house, and then when I sold the house is basically a 4 room lah. The sellers have actually combined master and common room together,
Mm-hmm.
and they make the common room to be like a kids room.
Yep.
And then this buyer came with an agent. They saw, they like it. They physically viewed, and in fact, they viewed again with the parents.
Mm-hmm.
And then the option valuation came out, exercise. So it was like very smooth all the while.
Yep.
In fact, the completion is like in like 2 to 3 weeks time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so HDB approved, passed everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now the buyer come back asking the agent, and then the agent come to me, the buyer's agent come to me, saying that is the seller going to reinstate back the room?
Mm-hmm.
Then I was saying that no, it's not required.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I says that you all physically saw the house twice some more, so you all know what you guys are buying.
Mm-hmm.
Why should we reinstate back?
Of course.
So then they come back and says that because they heard around, or in fact they googled it out or something, that the seller has to give back the house in original layout condition
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. So what's your take on this?
So was the buyers represented by any agents?
Yeah, they have their own agent.
Yeah. So by the agent should have preempt them, inform them earlier that what they see is what they get. So whether they like the fixtures or not, it will be there. Whether they like this aircon placed in the middle of the living hall or what, they have to accept it. So, and of course, whether there were any walls reinstated or the entrance of the toilet is changed from the original layout, they have to accept it. Sellers must have done the due diligence check. When they are getting this renovation done, they should have done this with an approval of HDB. Okay, there are a couple of cases where I have encountered where buyers have actually asked the sellers, can you reinstate back to the original? The seller can simply say, no, you have to accept as it is. If they agree, it's a different thing lah. If they don't agree, the buyers must accept as it is. So there was one instance where buyers and sellers both were agreeable with whatever the condition of the house. But when there was an inspection done by HDB realized that they did not get a special approval to change the entrance of the kitchen. Okay, the hacking of the wall was not done with any approval by the sellers when they actually moved in earlier. So they got into trouble. So the HDB said that you have to reinstate back
to the original.
Yeah. So that is a different case where they have to build it back or they have to pay a fine. Yeah.
So basically, a lot of them, I think there's this misconception is that the original means they have to do back the walls. No, the original means any illegal renovation or modification done to the house that is not comes under the approval of HDB.
Yeah.
Then of course the seller has to put it back to original state.
Yeah.
And then the buyer can choose to claim on that. But in this case, I clearly told them exactly the same thing. This is not an illegal renovation or modification. In fact, HDB inspected the unit and passed it so that it proceeded on to the next step to go for completion.
Yep.
So in this case, the seller simply is not going to do so. Why is he going to spend money to do back a wall?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, so the buyer has to accept it.
Yeah, correct.
And then this is something that I think they have to understand. And in fact, I think all buyers have to take note of.
Yes,
as well.
correct. So a few things that the buyers and sellers will have to understand, especially when it comes to new MOP flats. This is a very, very common thing. When sellers collect their BTO flats, right? The service balcony usually comes empty without any grills or windows. So usually, majority of the owners, they will put a grill.
For safety of the kids and all that,
yeah. So what they will have to do is they need to appoint a HDB approved contractor to apply for permit. And then once they have installed the window, and after which the approved contractor will have to submit this form B1. So either one of it is not done, the sellers will be in trouble. Either they have to remove that or they have to pay a fine of $400.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay,
so and of course they will take the cheaper alternative. They will remove the sliding door cost them less than $100. But of course, the buyer has every right to ask, where is the sliding door which I saw on the day of viewing? So either they pay a fine, the sellers will have to pay a fine of $400 to HDB. On top of the $400, they have to get another HDB contractor to come down and submit a Form B1 to say that this is in a sturdy condition, in a good condition. So all in all, they have to spend about $500 or maybe $600. So the cheapest alternative is just to remove it. Yes. So this is one of the common problems. Second thing is the sellers will sometimes, to have very nice aesthetics, they will actually cover up this ventilation from the bomb shelter.
Yeah, actually, bomb shelter, I think, comes to it. That one is a very complicated scenario.
Yes.
So I think bomb shelters is something that we cannot even touch because
Correct.
it doesn't not only come under the purview of HDB, but it also come under SCDF.
That's right.
And I think even if you manage to get some form of approval from HDB, SCDF is going to be not ease to approve.
So HDB is quite strict on that. It's also your emergency place for you to take shelter in case of earthquake, in case of any natural disaster, or maybe bombing or something like that. You have to clear that space so that your family can take shelter. So that's the reason why HDB don't allow you to have any fixtures inside. You should have movable items, easy for you to remove so that you can take shelter with your family in case. Especially my Hindu clients, they have an altar fixed to the bomb shelter. So they were told to remove it. Second thing is to have appealing aesthetics. They will put some carpentry. They will, knowingly or without knowingly, they will go and seal up the shelter. I mean, the ventilation, which is also not approved.
Talking about this, actually, I have a case, a real case that we actually is about to be completed. So what happened was that this house in Woodlands near Admiralty side, right? It's like the design build block kind of, 600 plus the block. So what the sellers have done is that because they want to have a very open, very nice, warm, cozy feeling to the house, they actually removed the bomb shelter door. And what they did is that they actually did a partition inside the bomb shelter and then placed just a door. Lucky they never throw away the door.
Good.
They just still kept the door.
Yes, good.
But what else they did is that inside the bomb shelter, they lay vinyl. And then outside, since the door is removed, right, they have done some carpentry and then conceal it up. Looks very nice. And the buyer actually liked it. And then we proceeded with the purchase. The buyer actually did with the purchase. So actually what happened, the HDB came to inspect. They said cannot, to reinstate back. Then the agent tried the luck to say that, hey, no, the buyer is okay. Both are Indians So inside the bomb shelter is actually the prayer room. So they actually put the door one side, partition it nicely, covered it up, and then the remaining rest of the bomb shelter is actually prayer room. And of course the buyer is also Indian Hindu. They are okay with that because it's like, see all the feng shui the direction and all perfectly done. So they're okay with it. They're willing to take it as it is. So the agent actually went to write a appeal letter to say that to HDB saying that please can we just move on this, because the thing is that the buyer seller both agreeable on it. But HDB was a very strict no. They simply said either your seller do it, if not the buyer has to do it, and within 1 month must send the photos. And then it's not, so of course buyer will not want to do it because it's being unfair to them. So eventually the seller has to reinstate back everything.
Of course. Even if the buyers are agreeable, definitely HDB or SCDF will not allow, because this is one of the essential things to be in any HDB home. A few of my clients, what they have done is they go and take out these fixtures. Like what you say, they go and take out the door, right? Luckily, they didn't throw it away because it's going to be very, very expensive for them to find a replacement door. But some cases, the owners, they tend to take out the ventilation panel. That panel can be very costly. One bolt can cost up to about $50. If there is 4, it can, or even more.
And then the metal plate, right? It's either the squarish or the
circle one. So there were some cases my seller misplaced it. So it took us about almost 1.5 months for HDB to find a similar one, and they had to spend almost close to $300-400
just to put it back.
Just to put it back. So it's unnecessary. So it's unnecessary. Why not just leave it as it is? Or if you want to just seal it for aesthetic,
I know
cannot be
some
a
people
permanent.
they screw it in
Uh-huh.
and then they put a wallpaper or
Yeah.
something over it. Yeah,
Yes.
I
So
know
when you're
that's
selling it, you have to get it exposed back again.
exposed
Don't
back
ever
again.
throw it.
Yep,
That is
yep.
very important. So there are some people just misplace it, they just keep it one corner. Spring cleaning, they go and accidentally throw away. These are just creating trouble for themselves. Then another important thing is window grills, window sliding doors. HDB officer will inspect all these windows and window grills to make sure these are sturdy. Those MOP flats, 5 years, 10 years, I don't think there'll be any issues. But older houses,
flats, yeah.
Take Y, Masling, and all these kind of older homes, they tend to, due to wear and
Went
tear,
there, yeah.
heat, humidity, rain, and things like that, the rubber stopper, the reinforcements, the hinges, they tend to give way. So, of course, you need to hand over this home to the next buyer in safe condition. So, the main reason why HDB wants you to hand over in a proper condition is because they don't want to be a killer litter. Sometimes the buyers, they go and open and then it falls on to someone and
Someone
kills.
below and all, yeah.
Yeah,
correct,
so this is one of the main reason why HDB wants windows to be in sturdy condition. So there's a reason why you do a window declaration form on the day when you're doing a completion that it is in safe condition. So it's quite important. HDB will check all those raised platform.
You mean inside the house,
Yeah.
Those like platform beds.
Yeah.
Or sometimes
Yes.
they will do the living or the balcony to be on top.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
those kind
correct.
of platforms.
So of course these are interior. People will be wondering, it's an interior or what is my own wish? But if this raised platform is right next to a window,
okay.
then you will
Child
be in trouble
safety,
for
yeah.
child safety. So from the floor to window height, there is a limit. So if you fail, you have to remove it. Or another alternative is the grill must be placed. So the reason is for child safety. Whether you have a child or not, whether the next buyer is going to have a child or not is not up to us.
Yeah,
You have to hand over in a proper condition. Nowadays, a lot of people, they have this raised platform for dining. They even have this storage bed and things like that. And if you realize it's more than a couple of centimeters, it's already failed. So HDB has every right to request you to remove or maybe change the grill to a permanent one. Last but not least would be the walls. If let's say, they will have this opening here and there, they have reinstated. If you have a gypsum board, no, not a problem at all. If you have those concrete walls, you must have an approval. You must have an approval. Changing of the door, changing of the entrance of the toilet, all these require pre-approval before you do it. Of course, your contractor must be doing all the due diligence check before doing any unnecessary changes to the house. If they don't do, sometimes they are like, some contractors are non-reliable. They don't do all these necessary checks or pre-approval checks before they do this. The owner will be the one getting into trouble. Yeah. Sellers, usually laymen, they don't know about all these rules and regulations. But eventually it will come back to them. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.